Hey, what's going on, guys? DavetheUsher here. We're continuing our cartoon commentary on the Transformers Robots in Disguise, the 2015 series. This is going to be for Episode 8, as the title says, True Colors. Episode 8 titled True Colors. Alright, fun stuff. This is going to be fun. So, let's get to it. Basically, in the video description below, you're going to find a link to my personal Facebook page. And that is going to have, it's going to be like a little post. I've been over this many times, but some of you may still not know. But yeah, it's going to be a post about where you can get this, episode, because you might be living in a place where this has not yet aired. Actually, as I'm talking right now, what time is it? I believe episode 1 of Transformers Robots in Disguise has aired in the United States tonight, about an hour ago, but that's episode 1. I'm about to watch with you guys episode 8. That's right, because we're a little bit behind. This is yet to air everywhere, like the U.S. just tonight. I think in Canada, maybe the U.K. still. So yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. It's really not that. It's not that hard to get it. It's not. My Facebook post that has all the information talks about a website, Transformers World 2005. If you're a Transformers fan and you don't know about this website, this isn't some like backwards ass website, like shady stuff. It's nothing like that. So yeah, I put it all in this one post, and I got all of the episodes up till episode 8, like all lined up and ready. I did like a trial run for me. Like if I do the clicking, it's like click, 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 whoop. All right, got my episodes, and it doesn't take too long to download them. It's pretty convenient. All right, enough of that. Hopefully you guys are still watching alongside me, because I like to talk about Transformers. I'm a big Transformers, like my shirt. I'm a big Transformers fan. So we're gonna watch episode 8 together in sync. How are we gonna do it in sync? Well, I'm gonna play the episode, and I'm gonna do kind of a count off, the first several seconds, and then you'll match your episode seconds to mine, and that's how we get in sync. My episode is a total time length of 21 minutes and 29 seconds. So I'm going to hit the play button, and let's do this. Ready? Here we go. And play. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So, I'm saying the seconds. You guys can put that together, and we're watching. And we're watching. Alrighty, I'm just gonna decaf coffee. A little trivia. Little stupid piece of information, personally. I almost finished recording this once already. My computer had a problem. Earlier on this morning, I attempted to do this. My computer had a little problem. So here we are again, and I'm kind of doing this for a second time. It's weird. This is what commentators on video game material or movie stuff, whatever, this kind of media, things like this happen to a lot of us, and we got to deal with this. It's funny, right? What's with the elevator or jazz music going here? Alright, so True Colors. What is this going to be about? Oh! Is someone going to be showing their true colors? Grimlock, for instance? Oh my! And that leads us to our little intro. That was like, okay, ooh, we seem to have a problem with Grimlock here. So remember, Grimlock's a Decepticon. One sec. Nice and hot. A nice hot little beverage treat. I like this mug for obvious reasons, but it's kind of cool because it curves up, just to prevent spillage slightly more, I feel. Yeah, you're welcome. Just letting you know. You all appreciate that, I'm sure. Okay, so let's talk about this episode and just Transformers episodes that follow this pattern. As someone who does this, and this problem like computer problems happen to me. Let's try and make this commentary even better. I hate it when it's not as good. A second attempt. When a second attempt comes and you feel like it's not as good as the first. So let's talk about this. Grimlock seems like he's grouchy grumpy, and we have to remember that he is a Decepticon, so what's the deal? Is he finally showing his true colors? Now let's remember, Grimlock is a Dinobot, and I've been over this before. Grimlock is sporting that nice green color scheme, right? And I forgot and remembered that in the first RID series in 2001, he actually had those green color schemes before. Remember? Maybe not. Probably not. I didn't really. I always like to look stuff up. You know what needs another toy release, by the way? This is off topic. You know what needs another toy release? Reflector. Reflector. Viewfinder. Spyglass. And someone else. What are the three names of those dudes? There's Spyglass and Viewfinder and someone else. Whatever. But those three. We need another Reflector. And yeah, there was the original Reflector in the 80s, and then there was, they released some kind of little add-on to one of the Insecticons just recently for the Transformers Generations line, and then there was some sort of Japanese release of the Reflector camera that wouldn't transform. Oh, I want a camera! I just want to, and it's not like a real camera, it's just like a put that up, like, oh, look, it looks like a Reflector, it's a camera, doesn't transform. I think that's kind of stupid, but that's just me. Whatever. They need to make a new masterpiece reflector. You know? Got a Supreme Starscream back there. I got Masterpiece Soundwave. I gotta get him out. Enough of that. So, let's talk about traitors. Let's talk about Autobot, Decepticon, Maximal Predacon, traitors throughout Transformers series. Right? Like that? With the hands? So Grimlock's grouchy grumpy. Yeah, we get it. So what's the deal? He seems like he knows what he's doing, right? You know, like, hey, how you doing? What are you gonna do? I just beat up the Autobots. Rah, rah, rah. But is this a Dinobot thing? Is this a... You know, the original Dinobots, they had their rage problems. Remember? Grimlock, Slag, and Sludge, and Snarl, and Swoop. What do you think the worst original Dinobot was? I feel like Snarl or probably Snarl. Maybe Sludge. Snarl and Sludge, those two. Yeah. Slag had a little something to him. Grimlock is Grimlock. And, you know, Swoop, I always kind of like Swoop a lot, actually. Anyway, enough of that. So what was that, Grimlock? Right there, Grimlock seemed to be conflicted, like almost struggling with himself there. Is this a Dinobot rage kind of thing? Is Grimlock totally in control of his actions? Hey, remember the Call of the Primitives episode in Generation 1 where all the animal type Transformers, good and bad, kind of were like, right? There's a greater force out there, and it's calling to me. I gotta go. And go they did. That episode really had cool animation. Remember that? You might. And if you haven't, check it out. It's Season 3. Interesting season. Call the Primitives. And, yeah, that was probably one of the better episodes for many reasons, but I'm not going to get into all that. So, okay, speaking of Dinobots, who's a Dinobot? Dinobot's a Dinobot. Dinobot was a Predacon originally, just like Grimlock here is a Decepticon originally, you know? It's that whole traitor swapping sides thing. So let's talk about... Oh, I feel like I'm rolling much better here. It's because it's semi-rehearsed. Feel like this second attempt's probably going to be better than the first attempt. That makes me happy. Anyway, Grimlock is here, and Underbite, remember him from a previous episode? Those are the Decepticons right there, and their stasis pods. Seems like Grimlock's mission here is to release him, or free him, or... Seems like he's trying to free his comrades, his fellow Decepticons. I mean, they're all animal-type Decepticons, right? They're brethren, right? But anyway, Dinobot, he was an original Predacon that turned traitor. I want to talk about traitor examples, traitor Transformers, good and bad. So Dinobot, oh god, who doesn't love Dinobot? Who doesn't love Dinobot? Beast Wars Dinobot. So yeah, he was a Predacon, and then he swapped over to the Maximals because of the incidents in, the first part. Dinobot's grouchy at Megatron, Megatron's grouchy at Dinobot. Oh, I love that. I love that show. I love that series, Transformers series. But, yeah, eventually even Dinobot wanted to switch back to a Predacon. His own call, too, This wasn't like Megatron or Tarantulas, right? Installing some sort of mind control thing. Is that what's going on here? Is it, my contacts. Is it mind control? Or is it like that primitive force from somewhere out there, Call of the Primitive style? Or is it just Grimlock just saying, you know what, I'm a Decepticon. Strongarm obviously is having none of it. Strongarm is having none of it. The others seem like, well, I don't know. What does Kid have to say real quick? Oh. He wanted to hit me, but he couldn't, so we're probably dealing with something, manipulating Grimlock, or taking control of Grimlock, or something like that. Maybe because he's a Dinobot, right? Something like that. Okay, cool. But yeah, that wasn't the case with Dinobot. In Season 2, all that Golden Disc stuff. Golden Discs and Futures and Destiny and all that stuff. Dinobot's like, I am Predacon. And, it seems like Megatron and, I think the Predacons might win this thing after all. And, why did I switch sides in the first place? Yeah, little ego bruise and like, well, that was it, Now I'm a Maximal? I don't know. So yeah, Dinobot really did kind of switch back for that one episode. Maximal No More, right? How good is my memory? Wasn't that episode 5 of Season 2? Episode 4 being... Was it Tangled Web? Oh no, or was that the Season 1? I know Season 4, that episode was the Tarantulas Black Arachnia Quick Strike centric episode, and that was a cool episode too. Nothing special, but kind of one of my favorites. But anyway, enough of that. Yeah, Dinobot, he temporarily switched back even, and then he's like, no, I just can't go through with it. Megatron's crazy. You're gonna kill everybody. You've gone mad, man. And yeah, that was the end of that guy, I guess. So that was an example. Here's another big one I would like to talk about. Let's talk about Starscream. Actually, let's talk about Starscreams. Starscreams. Different versions of Starscreams from Transformers series. You got Generation 1 I'd like to talk about. I'd like to talk about the Armada version of Starscream, the Transformers Prime version of Starscream 2. I'd like to talk about those three specifically. Starscream, he's a notorious traitor and all that, right? He's always doing the traitor routine. And that can vary depending on the series, I suppose. Actually, we can talk about the Transformers animated version, too. In a couple of the versions, Starscream finally gets an army together. Like in Generation 1, there was the whole Combaticon thing, of course, and he made his Combaticon army, and that was a cool episode, right? Back in Generation 1. In Transformers Animated, and this is a little fuzzy in my mind, because... wasn't totally gaga on that series. Just remember bits and pieces and all. And I only watched through it kinda once. Anyway, Starscream also got an army of his in Transformers Animated, but that was through like some sort of cloning process, and there was like different versions of Starscream, and then there was Slipstream. And wasn't that the only version? Slipstream is my fiance's favorite, favorite Transformer, by the way. Most notably, more so the Transformers War for Cybertron version. Remember her? And that, I won't be saying fiance in exactly a week. A week from now, get married. Hey, get married exactly a week. Good stuff. Anyway, you know, Starscream had like his army in that one too, you know, and he was always trying to take over the Decepticons, all that stuff. Yeah, Transformers Prime, kinda, you know, with the whole... He tried to get his army... Yeah. He tried to get his army of, zombie Transformers and all that. Yeah, there was a little bit of that, right? And, as far as Transformers Armada went, I don't think there was an army. This is fuzzy in my mind. But, what's interesting in Transformers Armada and Transformers Prime than Generation 1 Starscream is that in Armada and Prime, Starscream really kind of did swap, over to the Autobots' side. Not that he was like, I believe what the Autobots stand for and that kind of stuff. Oh, look, conspiring. Decepticons are conspiring. So they're meeting up. Oh, what's going on, Grimlock? He's... Really seems like he's switched, doesn't it? But anyway, the Starscream version of Armada was, and once again, a little bit fuzzy on it, on all this, but he really swapped over to the Autobot side. He was there for a little while, wasn't he? Like a couple episodes. And probably that was the biggest swap out of any version of animated Starscream versions. Probably in Armada, right? Not Prime. I mean, yeah, he switched sides over in Prime, but Transformers Prime version of Starscream, he was just always all about himself, and yeah, he was he was looking out for number one constantly, and just taking advantage of opportunities, basically. But at least that's my thoughts on it. You know, my thoughts, like the Starscream version in Armada. That version of Starscream, if I recall correctly, he was kind of contemplating things, wasn't he? He was like, you know, maybe I should take a different route, maybe. And yeah, very strange. I feel, at least, that's a little on the stranger side, because once again, if my recollection's good, like, yeah, that version, the Armada version of Starscream, was really kind of like, yeah, give me the whole Autobot tour. You know, I'm unsure of myself. What to do? And then I think about Generation 1 Starscream. He would have none of that stuff. And the only time I can really think of Starscream kind of sitting down with an Autobot is a Season 2 episode of Generation 1 where Starscream had this scene with Red Alert. What was that episode called? Auto Berserk? Or, I don't know if I can remember. It had to do with some ultimate weapon thing called the Megavator or the Negavator? M or N? I don't know. Some kind of ray that, like, does stuff. And yeah, it was like a Red Alert centric episode, and Inferno was there. You know, pick every episode, get a couple new characters, introduce the toys. You know how it is, or how it was, and still is. But yeah, there is this funny scene where Starscream's kind of sitting. They're sitting around in like a big old like locker room, and Starscream and Red Alert are sitting. And Starscream's, I know exactly how you feel. Megatron never sees how my potential is so great, and blah blah blah. And Red Alert, the Autobot Red Alert, he was like messed up. He got messed up in battle, and it messed up some of his circuits, and he was like super paranoid. So he was acting kind of crazy. He wasn't himself. So Starscream saw this and was taking advantage. That's what he does. He takes advantage. He manipulates and does that whole thing. It's not like Starscream was really swapping to the other side or anything like that. He never did. He never did anything close to that in Generation 1. No, not to the Autobot side. So I feel like he would never do anything close to what Armada Starscream did, or even Transformers Prime Starscream did, or anyone have any other examples? What did animated Starscream do? I don't think he went that far. But, yeah, they were sitting around. He's just kind of talking to the Autobot, like, oh, I know exactly what you mean. And really, he's just taking advantage. So, I talked about bad guys, Decepticons. Or I talked about Predacons swapping to the good side. And, going back to Beast Wars, once again, like Black Arachnia swapping to the good side. She was originally a maximal protoform, but, still she was programmed Predacon. So technically that's going over to the bad side. Hey, even in a small way, Silverbolt kind of went over to the... he started out, I guess, as a Predacon. Quick Strike was never programmed as a Predacon. Quick Strike and Silverbolt, they came online, and then Megatron and Inferno found them. He never really made a decision. He just went that way, right? It's kind of funny. But, okay, what about good guys going over to the bad side? And let's see if I can get a couple examples out real quick. It's interesting. What about in Generation 1? Generation 1, what example could you have? Those guys were Boy Scouts. Well, technically, yeah. But what about Mirage? Episode Traitor. Episode Traitor. I mean, come on. That says it all. Traitor. Mirage kind of turned traitor in that episode and became a Decepticon. Oh, but wait, not really. That had to do with the whole mind control thing. So, still counts. Like Bombshell used one of his Cerebro shell stuff and did Insecticon. I always hated the Insecticons. They did Insecticon stuff and said, hey, let's use this Autobot to our advantage and lay a trap, and they captured Mirage, and they used the whole mind control thing, and then set up the Autobots in an ambush. By the way, that's the little critter right there that controlled Grimlock, got on his back, and now it's doing the same thing the Bumblebee, and I think it cloaks, right? Yeah, it kind of turns invisible. Clever, right? We've seen it before. So many this is what cartoons do. In different variations, different forms, but here we have it again, where like some little creature gets on you and takes control of you. Like Batman Beyond, the two-parter episode of The Call, when that Starro got on Superman, was controlling him. Or more DC stuff. What about that Justice League episode? I can't remember what it's called right now, the title. But it was Season 2, and if you pick up that crystal, the snake race controls you. The snake race people. Anyway, enough of that. But yeah, Mirage was under control, and Cliff Jumper could have sworn he was a Decepticon, a traitor, but they didn't realize it was all just mind control the whole time. So Mirage really wasn't a traitor. Hey, speaking of the old 80s cartoons, what about The Traitor from G.I. Joe? That was a two-parter with Dusty, and I really liked that two-parter. That was a good two-parter from Season 1. That was a really interesting two-parter. But Dusty was a traitor, and it turned out he was a triple agent the whole time, or whatever. That's what Cobra Commander said. You're a triple agent? Ah, I'm Cobra Commander. Ah, how you doing? So yeah, that happened. Oh, what else was there? I feel like, oh yeah, hey, going back real quick to Transformers. Going back to Transformers Armada, actually. By the way, everything's ending happily ever after. Grimlock, of course, was under control. He's not a traitor. He's just the big old lug. But, as the episode concludes, Steeljaw is rounding up the troops, like I've been talking about. A couple of them have been freed from stasis. He's collecting. Sooner or later in this show, there's going to be a big battle with all these cons, right? He's collecting his forces. He's gathering his army, his troops. I wanted to talk about that Armada example, though. Actually, two characters, right? Once again, fuzzy on that whole series. But there was two characters, Sideways, and Sideways is kind of a Tarantulas-type character in a way. And actually, there was a version of Wheeljack that appeared in that show. Now, Sideways, he wasn't a Decepticon or Autobot at all. I think he started out as an Autobot and then went to the Decepticon path side, but turned out he was a minion of Unicron that whole time. Am I right? Think so. Kind of like Tarantulas. Tarantulas was technically never a Predacon. He was from the Unicron spawn, whatever. Anyway. But yeah, going back to Wheeljack, Autobot, of course, And I can't recall. Maybe one of you can fill me in. But I think he did swap to the Decepticons side, kinda. I remember he had some sort of like cut on his chest, or did he did he cut out his insignia maybe too, or something like that? He was very grouchy, grumpy, and angry because he was like left for dead or betrayed. Morph style from X-Men the Animated Series. I've been watching that recently, so I got that on my mind. Left for dead, like Morph in the first part of X-Men the Animated Series. But he didn't end up getting killed, and then he's like, "Hey, I'm alive. I'm very upset and grumpy about being left for dead, and I'm gonna show all of you how annoyed I am." And that's what Morph kind of did. But more, yeah, kind of traitor stuff too. In a way, it's not Transformers related, but Morph was a traitor. But that also had to do with kind of mind control from Mr. Sinister, right? Yeah, I gotta watch more X-Men the Animated Series. I started, and then I stopped a little bit. Hey, hold on. Look, see? I just got these, man. Just got these DVDs. Oh, why can't there be more special features on stuff like this? I bought the DVDs, man. So, hey, fun. Yeah, so I mean, that's it. I really enjoyed talking about these examples. It's interesting stuff. I would like to see more. I want to see more Autobots swapping sides. There's got to be something I'm forgetting. I know there's more. There's no Autobots or Maximals or whatever swapping to the Decepticon. Not in Generation 1. I can't think of anything else, but I know there's got to be something there. But yeah, we talked about different versions of certain characters, and they're not always the same. Like, actually, technically, there's 4 versions of Wheeljack. I think in a prior commentary episode, I said 3, but I believe there was one in animated too who showed up at some point. So yeah, there's Generation 1 Wheeljack. There is Transformers Armada Wheeljack, Transformers Animated Wheeljack, and of course Transformers Prime Wheeljack. And I believe they're all pretty different, and I think that's a good thing. It's good to have different types of characters. So, I mean, yeah, you have all those versions of Starscream, and it's just as long, and I've said this a couple times, maybe in my first attempt, I can't recall now, but just as long as you have your show where, you have, that's my version of Starscream. Yeah, I like this one the most. I like that the most. As long as you have yours, they're going to keep on coming out with different versions of these Transformers cartoon, these series. Hey, this is probably already on the back burner. I'm sure that, I think they'll do a season 2. And really, no offense to the show, but I think they're ready to move on to the next thing. The next toy series, right? But let's not jump ahead so quickly. So, do you guys have any other Transformer traders or any other examples that you can come up with, that you can think of, that I can't recall right now? Do you have any other examples? Let me know. Leave a comment. I would really like to know. And yeah, I think that's pretty interesting. And yeah, there you go. So that was episode 8. Episode 9 is going to be coming out soon. I hope you guys come back for another commentary, and we can have fun. We can talk about Transformers stuff. Transformers conversations about any old thing. Who cares what we're watching? I like to kind of keep it about the episode, and this was True Colors, a traitor type episode. So I think I did that. Awesome, guys. Well, thanks to those who stuck around, and yeah, check out my channel. So that's it. In the video description below, I got links to my social media pages like Facebook and Twitter and Twitch, Instagram, all that stuff. So check it out if you want. I'm going to go make some dinner, and then I got to pack. Going to Vegas, getting married. I leave in less than 3 days. Just so you know. All right.